Welcome to the 80-20 Baseball Podcast. Strike! The 80-20 Coaching Masterclass, our weekly get-together where coaches go from new to good and good to great. Mastering the fundamentals and the art of coaching.
Welcome to this week's episode. We have part 2 of our interview with Coach JP Nerbun. He spends his days helping coaches at all levels, executives in the business world, build and maintain better team cultures. If we don't have a good team culture, we cannot have a good season. We could be missing good players and still have a good season, but we can't be missing a good team culture and have a good season. So this is part 2 of our interview with JP. Last week was part 1. Today, part 2, the topics today are how we can motivate our players, our athletes, our team, while also maintaining a positive environment. It's a tough balancing act. JP is going to share some real life examples, actionable tips on how to do this successfully. And then JP is going to explain to us where we most likely can find the problem if we have team culture issues. So, that said, let's dive in. Part 2 of our interview with Coach JP Nerbun.
I would say my values shift when I'm coaching an under 10s team, right? They somewhat shift. Gratitude still shows up there, okay? There is care, which is a lighter word, right? Like walk around saying love and Ireland might throw a few people off. But then we have fearless and we have competitive. Why fearless? Because I'm like, I want to teach these young girls to be fearless. That's the thing. And so, so we have these core values. I know them in my head. I talk about these words all the time. Like, how can we be grateful? Well, one thing that we do, my players will tell you, every single time for the last 3 years, last thing I'll say is, thank your coaches, high five your teammates. That's it. I'm going to say it every time. Thank the coach, high five the teammates. I don't have to say it anymore now, but I can still say it probably. But the players will walk up and they'll give you sincere thank yous because we train that. I don't just say it. We actually spend time going, hey, what does it actually mean to give a really good thank you? What does it mean to be really grateful? All right. So we talk fearless. How do we teach fearless? Well, we talk about being fearless. We talk about going in for the tackle, and I'll stop, blow the whistle, and we'll, did everyone just see that? I was absolutely fearless. Or we'll go start a drill that we know is a tackling drill. We'll say, all right, someone wants to show me what fearless tackle looks like. Step up there. Girl steps up. All right, let's see it. Oh, she lays it all on the line, right? Most of our things are somewhat competitive, right, in practice. So we're constantly leaning into these with how we do things.
That's awesome. It's what you're implementing throughout and what you're embedding into your routine, into your practice throughout the year. That really, those are your values. Your values are not the things you talk about. They're the things that you do, practice in and practice out.
Our players know our non-negotiables. Listen, try, support your teammates, right? They know those, but they would not know our core values at this time. I'm not saying, hey guys, these are our core values. We're going to put them on a t-shirt, but they feel them. They feel them, right? They feel the level of care because we make a commitment as every coach to connect with as many players as you can before practice. They feel the compete because we really try to put competitiveness into every aspect of almost every drill, right? They feel that emphasis around fearlessness, that's celebrated, those types of things and then the gratitude thing, right? I thank our players for allowing me to coach them. I go thank the parents. Hey, thanks for allowing me to coach your daughter, right? So gratitude, they will feel that gratitude.
That's awesome. They're feeling it. They're doing it. It's not just words on a poster. That's fantastic. I think that part right there is something for all you coaches that are going out. Maybe it's in the fall season or next spring for baseball. Think about how you can infuse your values, your core values of your team into the practice, the day-to-day routines, and even every drill and part of practice and just your way of going about it. Do you want to add anything to that, JP, before we move on to the next topic? This is just gold right here.
No, I think we've pretty hit it on the head there. So.
Excellent. Let's see. Let's talk about motivating athletes. How can we motivate athletes while maintaining a positive environment? And, I think sometimes we think we got to motivate them, the old school approach, and even still to yelling at them to get them going. What's kind of your thought on motivating athletes while also maintaining a positive environment?
I mean, I think you go on to two spectrums. We want to motivate, so we either yell, get on them, threaten, blame them, shame them. Or on the other side of it, we encourage and we offer praise for every little thing that they do. And both of those things are potentially as ineffective at long-term motivation, right? One super just always positive, encouraging, offering praise all the time. They just tune you out. They just know, well, actually, I wasn't great there. I wasn't giving my best effort. So why are you just saying good job? Or they just tune us out. And the other one, they tend to break us down when we just go always negative. Oftentimes I'm asked when I'm speaking, people will reach out and they'll say, hey, when is it okay to yell? Because sometimes I yell and it works. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like I yell at my kids, they listen. I don't try not to, but like sometimes I'm not a perfect dad. Like I might snap and I get them in order really quickly. But long term, like, do I want them to clean their room? Do I want my players to work hard, have a good attitude because they're afraid of me snapping at them? No. I want them to do these right things, do the right thing because that's the type of person they want to be. That's what they see value in. It's going to help to lead the results that they want. So when it comes to maintaining a positive environment and motivating our athletes, it comes to getting to know each player, know what makes them tick. And I say tick, it's like really what drives them. Some players are very responsive to threats, to yelling. They can react well in the sense of they work harder, but that's not really why they play it, right? They don't play the sport because someone told them to. And yeah, they may have had that type of parenting, that other type of coaching. They may have been effective for them in doing certain things in the past. But to really tap into their intrinsic motivation, you got to go, what is most important to you about the sport? What are your goals? What are your dreams? Okay, where are you in relation to those dreams? And how can we support you and help you and create standards? And it's the relationship, it's the conversations that drive that type of intrinsic motivation.
And I'm guessing that starts with curiosity.
100%. Yeah, it starts with really curious questions.
What's a strategy like that coaches could use to effectively learn about each player, learn how they tick? But I know it's deeper. That's kind of a catchphrase. But it's how do you get there, and then how do you also utilize that information, and then have a plan, an approach to each kid individually? I mean, you know what I mean? Like when you start breaking it down like that, like, oh, that's tough to do. I got 2 months and I got 12 kids and they're 9, and I only know my kid and one of the other kids. How do you recommend coaches approach that so they can like efficiently be effective with that?
It's going to sound a little cheesy, but there's a bit of love. It's about love. It's about care for each individual. And when you truly care or love every individual that's in front of you, then you will start to really take notice. Can you notice? Can you be present? Just look at yesterday's practice. I asked, and I got 6 or 7 players to say, hey, what'd you enjoy the most? One player, and we're looking at her just eyes. She's like, oh, it's just great to be out here with my friends. It wasn't about the game or the drills or the competing, right? But this other girl, she's just like, oh, I like to play in the matches today. It's like, okay. Like, so what are they telling me? One girl's telling me like, I like to be out here to compete. And one girl's telling me like, I like to be out here to connect. And that doesn't mean that our person, they don't care about competing and connecting, but I know that we have to create space for connection and we still need to create space for competing. But I also know if like that person's motivation is dipping, how might we help her connect, right? Or how might that player, like, how can I feed that? So there's a bit of just like, you're always taking in information around your players. Secondly, you just start to see when players are struggling, can you get curious? So there's one girl and energy's so bad 6 months ago. Every other coach wants to give up on her. She's got a bad attitude, all these things. And I just said, you got to get curious. So I were pulling her aside like, hey, what's going on? Like, you're out here. Why do you want to be out here? Well, I don't want to be out here. My dad's forcing me to be out here. Okay, cool. Totally get it. But you got to be out here. So what would make this fun for you? Gave me nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay, my journey has not ended there. How can I get curious? What are some other things that I can learn, right? So my daughter plays on the team. So I said, hey, I want you to partner up with this girl today. And I want you to make it an awesome day for her. You figure it out. Well, how do I do that? I don't know. You figure it out. You make it a great practice. You're buddy. We're going to have buddy day. So we made a buddy day in practice. And everyone's going to buddy. And I made sure my daughter was buddy with her. And we broke them off into groups. It's like, got them to ask questions of each other, learn about each other. And they'd be partnered up and they'd be competing with each other against other pairs. And we just made it a buddy day. And I saw, wow, her connection went up, right? She needed that like individual connection and put this girl into groups of 5 or 6. And she's like the wallflower, right? So it's like, okay, so I'm starting to figure out what she needs. She needs somebody every day in her team that can connect with her. So I'm breaking into teams, like I'm knowing that. So you're constantly taking in information. Went to that girl's father. Hey, I noticed what do you know that I don't know that could help me to coach her better? So you're asking questions, you're getting this stuff in, you're constantly updating your profiles so that you can figure out these little things.
having an informed plan. And it makes me think, JP, that as coaches, we go into a season, a lot of us will go in, it's common to go into a season, even into a practice with a practice plan or a preseason plan or a season plan. But coaching, we have to be malleable. We have to be agile. It's almost like an art because each kid is different. So you had to be nimble. You had to kind of adjust. Like you have your core 4 values that drive you, but then the application, depending on the information that you receive and get and gather about each unique player, each unique person will likely almost inevitably have or require a different solution. Can't be rigid. So last topic, the real problem with your team's culture. Look in the mirror. All right, coaches, don't get defensive. JP, what do you mean by the real problem with our team culture? We got to look in the mirror.
I mean, this was my story, my journey, and now I coach a lot of coaches in the last 10 years, well over 100 coaches at this point, all different sports. And the reason I do the coaching the coaches is because I need someone to help me to see some of the blind spots and see how I was creating problems. The challenge is a lot of times people reach out to me and they've read the culture system or they've heard my podcast, like, oh, help me to build the culture of my team. And I'm absolutely happy to do that, except that's not where you start. The leadership framework that I would suggest starts with level 1, know yourself. Kind of have a philosophy, your values, a purpose, an identity, and know who you are. And then after that, you got to lead yourself. And that means, what are you doing to continuously have the mindset and the behaviors that align with your philosophy? So if you value gratitude and discipline and curiosity and love, are you doing things? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you investing in yourself so that you can grow at those things, that you can show up as your best self? And the best leaders, players and coaches and executives are committed to knowing themselves first off so that they can then go be their best self. And I think a lot of people don't really know themselves and thus they can't be themselves, or they think my personality is myself. And we're more than a personality type. We're more than those types of things. For years, I was like the fiery, passionate, yelling at kids all the time. And I was just like, oh, that's who I am. I was like, no, I'm not. That's not who I am. That's passion. And that's the way I'm expressing the passion. It's a style of coaching. Not my style of coaching. At my core, right, there's a lot more to me. So once you know yourself, lead yourself, then you can lead others. And it starts through the interpersonal, the relationship game, building connections with every athlete. Comes back to the idea of loving every athlete, caring for them, mentoring them. And then you can lead the team. And then you can do the team building activities and all those types of things to build your team's culture. But if you start with the last part and you don't take care of the first part, then you will look in the mirror one day, like I did, and go, oh, this is why our culture sucks. It's because I show up and I don't have the level of care for my players that I would like for them to have for each other, or I'm not having the hard conversations with my athletes that I need to be having. So yeah, it's all just a point back to just work on yourself.
Goes back to the awareness, right? We have to first have the awareness that here's a good barometer for coaches, piggybacking on what JP said there. If you're wondering where you stand, here's one way. Here's one litmus test for that. That is when your kids mess up, or when the culture isn't going right, or the kids are bickering or fighting, or it's not healthy, or you have parent issues, or your kids are missing free throws, or you're missing ground balls, or whatever, is the first thought, and this is very common, I think the first thought, what does he need to do better? How did they mess up? If your reaction is, which is very common, all that way, then you're not, in my opinion, in the right place with what JP's talking about here. You know you're in a good spot when your first reaction is, what can we do better? What can I do better to create an environment as the coach, as the leader of the team to improve that, whatever it is, improve whatever the thing is.
I think for me, I thought for the longest time, like it was like I had to make this admission, like I'm a bad coach or something. Like, and I wasn't. Like I look back on it and I'm like, I wasn't a bad coach, but it just moves back to this belief that like, what's a better way of doing things? There's always a way you can be a little bit better. Always looking for that improvement. How can I be a better coach? That's what we got to be looking for. But we're so often, I think we're looking externally and we don't do the inside work.
I'll tell you what, why don't we end it on that? That is a great thing to end it on. How can we be a better coach? And JP, all the listeners showing up, listening to this podcast, your podcast, going and getting your courses, reading your books. They want to be better. And so big shout out to all of the listeners that, hey, you're here because you want to be better. And like JP said, how can we be a better coach? Rather than going and looking for all the better players or the kids that like this, that, and the other, how can we start by looking in the mirror? That's why you're here and you want to be better. JP, thank you so much for your time coming on here. Much appreciated. Did you want to add anything before we part ways here?
I appreciate the opportunity. It was a great conversation, and hope coaches will check us out at tocculture.com. We got a great online community for coaches, a lot of courses around leadership and culture building and resources, and includes cohorts and webinars and all that stuff. So if you really want to invest in yourself, that's where you want to go.
If you're listening to this and you have connections, say, especially at schools, organizations, recommend JP's stuff to them. Share it. So JP, thanks. It's great. It's always great to have somebody from across the pond, from Ireland, come on. And thank you so much for being here, JP. This has been a lot of fun.
Hey, thanks for doing the podcast and pouring in the coaches.
That wraps up part 2, and that wraps up the whole interview with Coach JP Nerbun. You can find JP, tocculture.com. You can go see all of his stuff over there, books, courses, blog, podcast. Highly recommend going over there and at least getting those books. The Culture System is a great one. The Coach's Guide to Sports Parents can save you a lot of headaches. So number one thing I hear from coaches, their number one challenge is dealing with parents, at least with regard to things that are off the field. So tocculture.com. You can also head over to 8020baseball.com and get all things baseball, all your baseball coaching stuff. The coaching plan is over there. You can have access to it within minutes. It now has not only my top 15 team drills, it has 11 additional drills that have been added just this past week, produced by a Hall of Fame national championship coach, exclusive to 8020baseball.com. That's the coaching plan right there on the homepage, 8020baseball.com. Always great being here each week, getting better. All of us looking to improve and continue to get better so we can excel at something that is so important in this world, and that is leading the youth, leading the next generation, and no better way to do that than as a youth coach. I look forward to seeing you all back next week. Until then, let's continue to take care of our health so we can be at our best for our families, for our close friends when they need us, and we can be the great coach that we want to be. All right, y'all, take care. And until next week, adios.
This has been the 80-20 Baseball Podcast, the 80-20 Baseball Masterclass. We got this. Now, let's take the field.